Hello, this is Joe. I'm at the tea party at Stockton at Weber Point. Actually, I wasn't expecting this much activity. Let's check it out. No more bailouts. How's the protest going?
It's going good.
There was a bigger crowd here earlier.
Oh, there was a bigger crowd earlier?
Yeah, a real big crowd.
So this seems like a picnic to you then. Sounds like you come down.
This is pretty mellow here.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
You know, the police have been by several times. And
Here
I think
today?
yes. They haven't stopped. They've just driven by.
Oh, they've driven by?
Several times.
You're
and
keeping an eye on putting you on a list?
Just to make sure.
Yeah,
You
put
think?
it on the list. Yeah,
No, just to make sure no one was getting violent.
Oh, really? Was there anyone out here with baseball bats, throwing themselves out in the road, burn a Obama in effigy?
Yeah, no.
That's not a bad idea, though.
Oh, there you go. Time for you people to wake up. You, stop spending our money. I'm going to lay down here until you decide. It's time for the American people to wake up to the taxation. You. That's right. To wake up. You can run me over before I'll pay any more taxes. I'm laying in the street.
No new taxes. You're good. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right. You're gonna kill me before paying more taxes.
Oh shit, he died.
What?
All right, get up. Oh.
That's good enough. Well, there you have it. It's about 7:30 at the tea party. Well, this is Joe from Antigua. Thanks for tuning in.
Here we are at our annual Tax Day event, 2009. The cost of war just keeps going up and up and up. And we're here to hand out these leaflets that probably should have been green, but they're blue. So do you know where your tax dollars are going? And what most people are very surprised to find out is that the current military takes up over half of the discretionary federal budget. So we're here to educate the public on this issue today.
I just think that this is a really appropriate day, like the other 364, to remember that more than 50% of the money we're sending to the government today is to support the war. It's military spending, and if over half the budget's going to that, it seems that we could be doing so much more with our money than fighting an endless, useless war on some unknown thing called terror, which can be anything depending on what the politicians make it mean. So that's what I think. This is a good day to think about those kind of things.
Sure, I think the police were on the sidewalk.
Stay on the sidewalk and don't come up to the door.
Sure. Although Norm went down to get people dropping off in the yellow.
Well, we're here today. We're here with West Virginia Patriots for Peace and West Virginia Citizen Action Group. We are calling attention today. It is tax day. People are coming to the post office here in downtown Charleston to pay their taxes, and we think it's important for people to be aware of where their tax dollars are going. As of right now, I mean, as this has been and for a long time, over 50% of our budget goes to the military. That means that is millions and billions and trillions of dollars that doesn't go towards basic health care for children, basic health care for all, education, college education for people. So we're here to say that we really want to call for a reduction, a reallocation of our military budget to fund real human needs. To us, when people have health care, when people can depend on education, when people have jobs, that's human. That is Homeland Security. That's national security.
My name is Vance. I'm a small businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I've started 10 businesses. I currently run 5. I'm working on another business right now that'll be involved in energy. And I'm here to tell you if you haven't been in small business, you don't know taxes. Let me explain. A while back, we were sitting around the dinner table at home, my wife and 4 kids, and we were talking about, of all things, allowances. And it must have been a bad time because I finally said, guys, do you know for every dollar I give you an allowance, I've got to give the government $1? And they said, what? And I said, that's right. I have to give the government $1 in taxes before I can give you $1. And my little 13-year-old daughter said, well, Daddy, that's stupid. And I said, you're right. Now, why is it a 13-year-old knows that's stupid and our government doesn't? Now, some of you are thinking the top tax bracket right now is 35%, and you're right. But in addition to that, we have to pay state tax. My business is in Blythewood, South Carolina. It's where my father and I started it back in 1989. We make industrial fans. We actually make things out of metal and ship them around the country, all the states, and also around the world. State income tax in South Carolina is 6%. Now, North Carolina says that's not enough. North Carolina is 7.5%. So I have to fill out another tax form and send that 1.5% to North Carolina. Even though my business is in South Carolina, I'm a resident of Burke County and very glad of it. In addition to the state tax, I've got to pay Social Security. Social Security is 6.2%. On top of that is another 1.45% for Medicaid and Medicare. That gets me up over 50%. Now, remember, I'm talking about small business here, not just individuals. As a business owner, I have to match all the employees' Social Security, another 6.2%. I also have to match that Medicare and Medicaid, 1.45%. One step further, all the unemployment that is being paid out now by the government is paid by business. South Carolina unemployment tax on the business can be as much as 7% of the employee's salary. Federal unemployment tax could be another 1%. Now, this is starting to get overwhelming. But so far, we're only talking about tax on money. We've got a tax on time also. Time is money, especially to small business. I don't have legions of accountants. I got Marshall and Vicki and Terry and Demetra to do all of our taxes and run the business office. I said earlier, we ship fans all around the country. All the states are starting to look towards business now to collect sales tax in their state for products that are sold there. Not just the state, but also the county, the cities, and local taxes. We're supposed to keep track of that in our little company down here in the Carolinas. If we don't keep track of it, we start getting letters about penalties and assessments and things like that we've got to fight. I don't have this problem around the world. When we ship things to China or Brazil or Russia, I don't have those tax problems. Only when I ship stuff up to Ohio or down to Florida or Michigan, and this is getting overwhelming. All right, now back to taxes on money. You see these lists that we've got placed around, and some of them were read off earlier, about all the taxes you pay in addition to income taxes. If you buy food, you got sales tax. You run a car, oh my gosh, you've got property tax, you've got tax on buying the car, you got fuel taxes, you got road taxes. If you smoke or drink, you got those taxes. If you hunt or fish, you got license fees. And a married tax, of course, which is worth it, but that one's very much worth it. All right, taxes can total over 55. I mean, we've got like over 55 taxes on the list that you see posted around. The phone bill that you've got can have as many as 11 taxes and fees on it. That means I have to pay the government $1 in taxing before I can pay the taxes on my phone bill. That is just silly.
Absolutely.
So what can we do about this? Well, you all have taken a big step so far. You've shown up today. Often the hardest thing to do is show up, and you all are here. This is great. And I'm proud of you. Way to go. What needs to be done next is you need to step up and sign up. Sign these lists up here. Because with these lists, we're going to get the government's attention. It's going to go off to Raleigh and also up to Washington. And we're going to let them know that we're watching how they're taxing us and where this money is being spent. So step up and sign up on these lists. Engage in the process. If you remember, the original Boston Tea Party was back in 1773. There was so much history that followed that Tea Party. And we want you today to step up, sign up, engage in this process, and engage in the history that's being made here in Burke County today. My name is Vance Patterson. I'm a small businessman, and my wife and my family are very glad you're here. Thank you.
This is the Hartford Tea Party. See how much coverage this gets on the news?
You're part of it.
Say there's about 3,000 people here. That's what we're here for.
What are you doing? Coming down? Coming down to the Tea Party? Trying to get some up on the camp.
You're watching footage of Tax Day tea parties and other events held across the country this past Wednesday. They were submitted to C-SPAN online by people who attended them. You can watch complete versions of each video at cspan.org/taxday.
Well, thank you. What an honor to be here. What a turnout. And I'll tell you, when I go back to Washington next week, I'm going to tell them what I saw here today. I'm going to take your message back to D.C. And you know, I don't know how many people are here right now, but there are people still walking a mile away in either direction coming to this, to join you here today, to send this to Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama in Washington, D.C., that you're fed up. You're not going to take this anymore. That you're sick of it. That you're sick of this. You know what? We are spending too much. We are taxing too much. We are borrowing too much in Washington, D.C. And it's an outrage. It's an outrage. And they duped me once. They'll never dupe me again. By God, I'm not going to support any more of these stimuluses. No, we shouldn't do it. The last one was sold as a jobs bill. Only out of that $800 billion, only 7% of it went to jobs and transportation infrastructure. The rest of it went to pork barrel projects. That's wrong. And when I go back next week, they're going to want to propose a tax on carbon. They want to generate $646 billion. It costs every person in Oklahoma $3,100 a year to heat and cool your home and fill up your car. Now, that's not a way to stimulate the economy. We aren't going to tax our way out of this. You know, I was so glad to hear my friend Neil Bortz talking about the fair tax, which I'm a proud co-sponsor of. And by gosh, because of you here today, we will accomplish that goal sooner than later because of you. We're going to get it done. And we need it desperately. You know what? You wouldn't have had to fill out a form or send it in today or before. You would just have a fair tax, sales tax. And one thing we have to do, and it's going to be a great day, when we have a constitutional amendment to get rid of the income tax. Because that's what we have to do. And we'll make sure that we don't get a lot of exemptions, keep the rate low, it'll be fair. You know, it'll get that underground economy. We're going to make sure that people pay their fair share. But you know what? It's the right thing to do. It's going to take the power out of Washington and give it to the people where it belongs. I want to tell you, I couldn't be more proud today to see you here. And when I go back, I'm going to tell Nancy Pelosi firsthand on the House floor, I'm going to tell Barack Obama, enough's enough. We're spending too much, we're taxing too much, we're borrowing too much. The American people want their country back, and they're going to get it back now. Thank you very much. God bless America. God bless Tulsa, Oklahoma.
This is tax day, the April 15th of our lives. You and I, and Hal, I hate to tell you, but you got this wrong. We work from January the 1st to July 17th just to pay off our government portion of our tax load. Our founding fathers refused at that revolutionary Boston Tea Party to sell their souls for a tax rate that was 3 to 5%. Today, fellow Americans, it is 10 times greater than that. The Boston Tea Party was the defining show of differences between the colonists and the British Parliament. Those colonists said no, and today we say no.
Now, I'm not advocating violence. Violence, frankly, at this stage of the game is lazy. We may one day get to that stage if we don't get on with things, but we're not there yet. Violence is lazy. I look to our founding fathers as our role model, and they provided a good one. They were thoughtful, they were courageous, they were persistent. They showed us what to do.
This is amazing. Look at this. I brought my sign, I brought my camera. I brought my camcorder. A couple of fine police officers over there. Don't seem to be too concerned about anything, which is a good thing.
If you think Obama isn't an American citizen, you might just be a right-wing extremist. If you plant a vegetable garden, you might just be a right-wing extremist. If you're engaged in an influence Bible study, you might just be a right-wing extremist. In fact, if you are anything other than a left-wing eco-fascist, you might just be a right-wing extremist. Let's go, America. Let's take this country.
Of that $50,000, you have $18,000 left. Here's an interesting sight. Not all of the speakers are old white guys.
So yeah, no, that was
perfectly legitimate thing if you have a needy recipient, if you feel that you want to help. But government doesn't own you. The children don't own you. The needy don't own you. In America, there are no masters. There are no slaves. You're free.
We need to know what type of world we want for our children and grandchildren. It's time to suck it up, get involved, and spark that truly creative and proactive approach that made this country the greatest nation on earth. This is not a left or a right issue. It's an American issue. And I'm willing to bet that if we do nothing, in a few short years we will not recognize this country or what remains of our liberty and our Constitution. The world's changing, and we can be that change we want to see instead of this false change and hope promised by politicians who cover power a little more than they do our freedom. Or we can watch it pass us by and suffer the consequences if we do nothing. We've been sold out by our politicians, and we'll be lucky if all we end up with is socialism. The government and corporations have a vested interest in seeing things done a certain way. They call it the status quo. Well, the status quo is getting pretty old to me. We've had our liberties trampled, our Constitution eroded for too long. There is one solution when the dust settles. Frankly, it's a revolution. And that is to rebuild using the virtues of personal responsibility religion, it doesn't matter. We're Americans. Tyranny and greed and corruption have no place any longer, and it's up to us to make our stand and let our voices be heard. Our rights and liberties are guaranteed by our Creator. No man can take those away from us. We can only give them up. And we lend the government its power through the Constitution. It's supposed to limit that power. But now they are limiting our Constitution and are becoming what the Founding Fathers of these United States feared most. The very reason for the revolution are now repeating. Have we learned nothing as history is our greatest teacher? And now, only 233 years later, it seems revolution is brewing once again. An idea, principles, and values that once made this country great need to be remembered and once again applied to our lives through personal responsibility and not herd mentality. It was once said that dissent is the highest form of patriotism, that the government should fear the people, not the other way around. It is the duty of the people to rise up and remove this type of corruption should it take hold. The type of tyranny we now see running freely without oversight, without checks and balances, with free rein to tax and spend and subvert truth at every corner. We now stand at a crossroads, a choice to stand up and resist or lay down and silently comply. One will test the very fiber of our souls, and one will guarantee what the Founding Fathers fought to avoid. Some would say some fights aren't worth the battle. Well, I say anything that further restricts our liberty is a stand that must be taken. Patriots are of a rare breed. True patriots must uphold Constitution, equality, and freedom for all, respect their fellow man, yet see clearly through the illusions placed to distract from reason and logic. It is one thing to say something, it's another to do it. Actions speak loudest in a room deafened by the ramblings of insane leaders suffering from delusions of grandeur. And don't be distracted by the illusion of difference between these so-called leaders of the past 50 years, or the recent ones. Bush, Clinton, Obama. There's no difference. They're all puppets. It is time to take a stand as individuals and as a whole and restore the republic. For if good men continue to do nothing, we will reap the consequences of inaction, and we should bury Lady Liberty with our freedoms until a generation worthy of calling themselves free men once again rises to the occasion. The time has come to draw our lines in the sand, to restore this nation as peaceful as possible, so we may once again know the American dream means something and not some nightmare that it's quickly becoming. Samuel Adams said, "If ever a time should come when vain and aspiring men shall possess the highest seats of government, our country will stand in need of its experienced patriots to prevent its ruin." Well, my friends, this is why we are gathered here today. That time has come, and it's up to each one of us. We are the ones we have been waiting for to bring real change to this country. To put aside the left versus right, the Democrat versus Republican bickering once again, and look to the Constitution as the rule of law. Don't be afraid that we're just a small group of people. Do not feel powerless to the issues at hand because they appear so daunting. It has always been and always will be small groups of people throughout history that have changed the world. Thank you. Let's hear it from Mike Everson.
But isn't it true that paying taxes willingly makes us a good citizen? If we are grateful, don't we do that? Well, I would say that yes. I think the answer is yes, if the taxes are fair, if they are equitable, and if government is spending responsibly and truly it is a shared burden, then yes, we pay our taxes gladly. Yes, if taxes are spent on things that governments are supposed to spend taxes on, like constitutional things like national defense, the interstate highway system, schools locally, and necessary public services, yes, then we're happy to have those taxes and to pay them. But no, when they become oppressive. Thomas Jefferson said it best. Listen carefully. To preserve the people's independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our election between frugality and liberty, or excess spending and servitude. If we run into such debts as that, we must be taxed in our meat and in our drink and in our necessaries and our comforts and in our labors and our amusements, for our callings and our creeds. Our people must come to labor 16 hours in 24, give the earnings of 15 of these hours to the government for their debts and daily expenses, and the 16th being insufficient to afford us bread. The forerunner of this is public debt. Taxation follows that, and in its train, wretchedness and oppression. Thomas Jefferson, we are already working 4 months of the year to pay our taxes. The rest of it is ours. The government takes 4 months worth of our earnings. So the question again is it true that paying taxes willingly is the mark of a good and grateful citizen? Well, no. When taxes go to pay for things that actually harm people, subversive organizations that undermine our political system like ACORN, educational programs that twist and pervert the minds of our children, not only on moral issues, but on our system of government itself, our history, and our commitment to future. No. No. When taxes are used to reward the like-minded and punish the dissenters, no. When taxes are used to gain power and not to seek the good of the people, then no. No. When they are used to form unconstitutional civilian uniformed forces with our youth to further indoctrinate them, no. No. When our money goes to pay for goods and services that we find morally objectionable, when we are forced to pay for things we could never personally support or promote, no. No. When they are used to build up a Homeland Security Department and local police forces to monitor so-called right-wing extremists who are now defined by Homeland Security not only as those who oppose abortion, illegal immigration, who are in favor of gun rights, but include now those who simply reject federal authority over state and local authority. You are now all officially right-wing extremists. Our taxes are paid. Yeah, write your name on the dotted line. But the second thing is your taxes are going to form those forces, and when taxes are paid for that, we are not bad citizens to oppose them, and our vote is no. And not when our tax dollars are used to suppress, punish, indoctrinate, and undermine the history and greatness of the country we have loved for the very things that others would destroy. When these things come to pass, it may be patriotic not to pay taxes. We were given the freedom by our forefathers through careful framing of our Constitution, the right to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what did they say if those things were threatened? This is what they said, because they foresaw that things might not always be the way they had hoped. But whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, and those ends were the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new governments. Now, those are fighting words written by men who were willing to fight for their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Their blood is in our veins, and their hearts beat with a desire for justice just like ours. Let's rise to the occasion for the sake of their legacy and for the future of our children to save and preserve this great country. May God have mercy, mercy, mercy on us. May He forgive us for our individual and collective sins, and may we seek that forgiveness. And then may He give His blessing for all our future endeavors. God bless America.
As commander of the American Legion in 96 and Post 8131 in Greenwood, I reckon I could consider myself a patriot. I have went to foreign countries and fought in foreign wars. None of the People in Washington, not many of them has ever been and gave a sacrifice. I lost a brother in World War II, and his blood paid for what we're doing right here. And I thank God.
Things. My name's RJ Fife. I'm an American just like y'all. I just want to say two quick things. First off, so I heard out in the crowd, you know, vote the bums out. Well, hey, first off, that's our first voice right there. It's our vote. Every November, whenever there's a vote or election going on, get out to the polls.
You know, over the last 6 to 9 months, we've had government bailout after government bailout. We now have the United States government taking over American businesses. Folks, we've even got the President of the United States firing CEOs. We are borrowing trillions of dollars in the name of some type of economic stimulus that really amounts to more government spending that has been seen in this country since we were fighting Germany and Japan for the very survival of freedom. Folks, you know the spending has gotten bad when the President puts out a call for more global spending, and it's the European socialist countries that balk at that request. That's pretty bad, isn't it?
That is very bad.
You know, I tell you, I've been watching some of the really smart people on television over the last few days and weeks, and they've been talking about these tea parties which are going on around the country. And they're saying that basically these are just gatherings of some crazy nut jobs who just don't want to pay taxes.
They haven't seen crazy yet.
Well, folks, I got to tell you, I'm not opposed to paying taxes. But I am opposed to paying taxes that support irresponsible spending and the outlandish growth of big government that really does little more.
But I mean, what is going on now in Washington, D.C. is absolutely, you can't even describe it. I don't know of any words. I really don't. But we're all in this game together. So regardless of how small you think the issue is, it all has an impact on us here locally. Whether it's done in Washington, D.C., Columbia, South Carolina, county council, city hall, it impacts all of us.
My name is Otis Phoenix Bowman. None of our blood is worth more than the blood of Jesus Christ. Jesus died on the cross for every last one of us. And we sit here and we cry and we weep over little, nothing called money. But when we stand before God with all the wealth that America has, and we don't help the people right here in our own country, and we're helping people in foreign countries who have more money and have bought our country. We sit up fighting with people we owe money to. A house divided against itself shall not stand. And until we as a people turn from our wicked ways and see God, America shall not stand.
Yeah, that's right.
My name's Eric Williams. I live in Greenwood, and it's just great to see you all here this afternoon for this great grassroots effort. And just to remind you again, if you've been following the Tea Party movement, it is nationwide. And I looked on the website yesterday, there are over 2,000 of these going on. It's wonderful, and it's so gratifying to see everyone here, see the crowd like this. And thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge a couple of people groups here today. That one is the children here. And kids, as you look around you, this is how our country began. From people who were fed up with the king in 1773 at the original Boston Tea Party. They were fed up and they wanted to do something about it, send a message. And we're sending a message here today to Washington, to the politicians, to say hands off our money. This government spending is absolutely out of control, and we want the reins of government back in the hands of the American people. So kids, look around you and remember what you see here today.
I want to say this. It's time for our sovereignty of our nation to be protected.
because so much is going on right now where you got illegals coming in and getting benefits that they shouldn't even deserve because they haven't put nothing into it to get it in to start with. People in America are losing their jobs because they're firing them off and letting them go because they make more wages, and they're hiring up the illegals to come in and take those jobs. This is wrong.
You see, you're not alone. We all are out there shaking our heads, praying our hearts out, and feeling disenfranchised from our own country. Money or kids that haven't even been born yet, at least the ones that he'll let live. How many of you are angry about the taxes that you're paying today? We've got federal taxes, state taxes. We got sales tax upon sales tax upon sales tax. You got accommodations tax, you got fund tax, you got fee after fee after fee, and you can't even, gas tax. How about your gas tax? I'm angry about all the taxes, and I'm angry that it's being spent to pay for abortions in foreign countries. Now, you folks that voted for Obama and said they're going to be abortions no matter what, so we might as well make them safe and legal. How do you justify us paying for abortions in foreign countries? That's wrong. And we don't need to steer straight to the top. We need to start locally. Let's think locally. We got more influence locally. How about the county council said we got to have a new dam? They tack a library onto it. You got no choice to vote for a library or a dam. You only got the library and the dam. Then they say, if you don't vote for it, what are we going to do? We're going to raise your property taxes. So vote for this sales tax. What do? You got the sales tax, and guess what? Your property taxes went up too, didn't they? Whose property taxes went up? Way up. Whose property taxes went up more than $100 this year? I did. How many? How about 200? I bet you got people paid $300 or $400 more this year in taxes. That's right. And I'm not jealous of you that you got an expensive house either. All right, now. So that's right. Amen, brother. Look, hey, we got the property taxes and the sales tax. All right. Now, that's the local county council. We need to start right there. Now let's get on the state. What about the, I'm sorry to offend you that are here, that are in the state government, but when you beg Obama for that money, you're saying you are a failure, and if you had any dignity, you would resign today. I want you out of there. Quit taking your phone off the hook when I call. All right, I homeschool our children. My wife homeschools our children. I help them the best I can. I can tell you it don't take no $10,000 a child to educate a child. All right, it takes committed parents and grandparents who love the children and spend time with their children. Of course, I know a lot of you have to work to pay taxes so you can keep your house. All right, so all you people down there in Columbia, shut up and resign. God bless Mark Sanford. He's the only one with any sense down there. Let's talk about Obama. I done said he's paying for abortion in foreign countries. It's scary because I'm afraid to say much. The black helicopters might come overhead. So let's just say that I did not vote for Obama. And I reluctantly voted for McCain. Yeah. But if we'd have put a real conservative to vote for, you'd have had a lot of people that wouldn't have stayed home and would have voted, I think. All right. Now, Gresham is up there now, and I hope that he's listening. He's been wishy-washy on some of these issues. Now, if he wants our vote for governor when he runs, he needs to straight talk 100% of the time. And we're listening, Gresham. We know what you're doing, and we're watching, and we're going to vote based on what you say. And a lot of us will stay home if you don't fly right.
It's based on what you do, not what you say.
Amen.